You know what's cool? Being recognized by flight attendants when you're on your way to a beach to enjoy your vacation. But you know what's not cool? Air Canada's flight attendants being absolutely screwed by arbitration, the Labour Minister, and their employer. I mean, Haidu started strong by saying that Canada's Labour Code prohibits unpaid work, and that all duties count as labour. And all of that sounds decisive until you actually read the documents. And after a national strike over unpaid labor, the government says that they do not have enough payroll data from the employer to determine whether or not employees were paid correctly. So in light of this, the government asks the employer to conduct a self-audit, because of course that's the right way to go about this. Of course the employer is going to tell on themselves, aren't they? But that report did go on to talk about a loophole called averaging that Air Canada uses to get away with not paying people for time. As long as all of the hours you work average out to above minimum wage, everything is okay. That means that you can work a 12-hour day, only get paid for 6, but so long as the paycheck averages out to minimum wage, everything is totally legal. This means that minimum wage becomes the target, not the floor, the target. And even though the unions put out examples of how this doesn't actually always work out to minimum wage, the government just said, more study is needed. This is textbook accountability avoidance. They define work clearly, affirm that unpaid work is illegal, and then lean on a loophole that allows for averaging. And then came arbitration. 12 hours after the strike ended, the government forced binding arbitration. The only leverage workers had disappeared overnight. And of course, the airline put forward a deal that still left unpaid hours on the table and still left pay lagging well behind inflation and competitors. And 99.1% of workers voted no, with 94% turnout. That's about as united and unified of a response as you can get. But in arbitration, all leverage is gone, and the arbiter decides what happens. Guess what happened? If you guessed that arbitration sided with the corporation and said everything is fine, you would have guessed correct. Now imagine that you are a flight attendant. You work those safety briefings, boarding, medical emergencies, handle violent customers. You calmly deal with things like plane evacuations. You're told that you're being compensated overall, but on your paycheck, things don't quite add up. So you vote no to the offer. But the process overrides you, essentially telling you that your voice and collective bargaining don't matter. But profits remain strong, and corporate executives are still well compensated. To be perfectly frank, I can see why they're angry, and you should be too. Because if this gets normalized, it becomes how we all get compensated.